Hey guys, thanks for joining us on another weekly FM show. It's the 4th of the 12th and we are still the only Football Manager website which does a live weekly show. I've got Ben and Ryan with me, as
Hello.
always.
Good evening, Paul. I'm Ryan.
We are going to be talking current saves tonight quite a lot. A few people have asked for that. We're going to be getting Nicholas on to talk about his current save. And we're going to be having a look at mental stats within the game of Football Manager, as well as having a quick chat about coaching stats. But the stuff I found out on that isn't going to make the conversation go on for too long. So I think we'll actually start with that. And the question came on our Twitter feed. I think it was from Fox in the Box. And he asked if when players retire, are their coaching stats just randomised, basically, because you find a lot of strikers end up coaching defending and a lot of defenders end up coaching attacking. Some goalkeepers randomly end up as midfield attacking coaches, for example. I checked through about maybe 30 or 40 players as they retired. What I found was all 10 goalkeepers turned into goalkeeping coaches, so that stops that part of it. But what I found after that was it did come across as completely randomised. I had strikers turning into defence coaches. I had some turning into managers, but they only had attacking stats when they were defenders, when they were playing, for example. I don't know if you guys have come across it. What about yourself, Ryan?
On FM15, not really, because I don't really look at the top class players where I'm managing at the moment. But on FM14, I didn't seem to notice much. I had Will Hughes up until 2030 odd, and he became just a general, all-round, lovely coach. But I haven't noticed much on FM15, so it's definitely something I'm going to keep a lookout for.
I only went on the scout after the question came in on Twitter. I loaded up a side save and just holidayed and just had a quick check to see what happened to certain people. What about yourself, Ben? Have you noticed any ex-professionals turn into random coaches?
Well, without doing any kind of scientific research into it, which I haven't done, it seems pretty random to me. So I've often tried in the past doing like Man United saves and things like that to try and get Ronaldo back when he's an older man and make him my assistant manager, but the stats he seems to get seem to be completely random each time, and I don't know. I don't know if there's anything into it, but it's worth keeping an eye out on, because that's something that they could probably look to improve on.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, I agree, there's something that needs to be addressed, we can say.
I think the only way you can actually look into it is using the editor data. You can check their stats and what they actually want to go to be in the future.
That's true, yeah. There's some leanings, don't they?
Yeah. I did think about doing that, but I wanted to see how the game panned out itself instead of just going into the editor data.
It could just be a simple coding error that they've missed out on FM15, because I didn't seem to notice much of that on FM14. Attackers always became attacking coaches, defenders always became defensive coaches.
I think it is just, it maybe does come across just a few. I mean, like I say, all the goalkeepers turned into goalkeeper coaches, so that's one way to look at it. I'm just going to bore you for a couple of minutes, everybody who's listening, and just basically run through what we've had released in the last week. We had a post done by one of our admins on FMCentral, Andre. Everybody knows him who's a member of the Facebook groups. He did top 250 Wonder Kids, a massive list. He's actually going to improve it to top 300 once I give him a couple of jabs in the ribs. Basically because Jay, one of our other admins on that group, has been complaining that we missed out a couple of players who he likes. Basically, the only way he did this was anybody aged 22 or under at the time of when he did this list. So there's going to be a lot of players on there who you know, and you'll say, why is he on the list, for example? I mean, the top one, Courtois from Chelsea. People will say, why is he on the list? Should he be on the list? Well, yes, he's a wonder kid. If you want a list of unknown wonder kids, then maybe check out the older post, which is in the shortlist section done by Jay, which is all scouted people. but there are some unknown people in here. I'll scroll down and straight away tell you this guy, Rajkovic. I've never heard of him. Have you, Ben?
Predrag Rajkovic, no.
Fantastic. If you said yes there, I'd have moved on. He's done it in position order. We've got goalkeepers, we've got left backs, we've got right backs, centre backs, and going all the way through the team up until attacking midfielders on the right and strikers. 25 people in every single position, 22 years or younger, and they are all wonder kids. 250 to choose from, as well as a short list to download there if you want to scout them all. So great work by Andre, and I definitely think it did deserve a couple of minutes on this show to shout out.
Do you guys ever, just out of interest, do you guys ever use those lists? Sometimes I find it's a little bit, it's a bit too easy to go for the list like that. I mean, fair dues, that's how you want to play, and you want to have the best in the world and all that sort of stuff. But I appreciate the effort that Andre's put in. That's quality, but I'm not sure it's something I would use personally.
So basically, Ben, you're now asking the owner of FMCentral if I use the shortlist which get put on the.
No. I mean, in general, I don't mean Andre's and because there's seen a lot of those kind of shortlist things. They're tempting, but I've never actually gone and done it. I understand that there's a market for everybody, but
Thanks for digging this hole.
I think for some, I'll dig you out of it, Ben. So I think for some, not a lot of people don't know these players. Like Paul, you said you didn't know that goalkeeper. For all you know, he could become the best goalkeeper on the game.
I don't play far enough up to ever sign people like that. I will admit I never use any of them, and the reason behind that is I never have to download them because the only shortlists I use are the ones that I create. So on last year's, I created a shortlist for the Conference North and the Conference South. I created and shared it on the website for people to download, but I found all them players, so I had no guilt or no sense of finding the game easier by using it because I'd searched for them players myself.
No, I think that's cool. I was just curious about how different people play the game, that's all.
Personally, no, because I do enjoy the scouting of finding people, and also I play too far down to download a lot of them on other websites. I do think the one that I made for the conference last year, it was the only one for that far down I came across, and I am planning on doing it again because people will know I'm doing a YouTube series with Stockport County. And in the summer, when it comes to scouting people who get released by the clubs, etc., I'm going to be putting a shortlist together. So that does kind of build into that. So yeah, it works quite well. We'll go on to the next one, which I've actually downloaded, and if you guys haven't, I recommend it. Debski's World of Hairstyles.
I did download it.
I downloaded it, and I'm already laughing at certain regions. I had my youth recruitment day. Let's see if I can pick it out. I had my youth recruitment day, and one of my guys, oh there it is, top left, he came out with this hairstyle. And I just laughed when I saw this guy come out with bright red hair. It adds a little bit to your game. It gives you a smile when your regions pop up, so it's definitely worth downloading. And there you go. It's thanks to Emil Debski85 from Sorted Out C. So fantastic addition to the game. Also this week, Jay has woke up and he's done a level 3 Austria database. So now you can play a bit further down in Austria and try to push on with, for example, the smaller of the two Salzburg's teams, we could say. As you can see here, FM 2015 Flute Skin 1.2. That's obviously a new skin for the game. I'll just quickly show you. If you bear with me, lads, it's only 5 minutes out of the show I'm taking to do this.
Paul didn't even know this was updated.
I noticed earlier.
He doesn't realise the work that I do.
That's it. He works very hard. The latest Football Manager WizKids database is out. It's a Scandinavian special, released only hours ago. Definitely worth downloading. An added Wonder Kid from Norway, which I personally informed them and gave them details on, so it's great to help them in any way I can.
Not a different Ødegaard? One different, is it?
No, it's somebody different. I'm not going to reveal his name because I'm curious to see how long before somebody picks him out. And then we're going to last but not least is a post I've just released, which is Stockport County SK3, I've called it, which is their postcode.
Nice.
And basically it's a club review, just looking at the history of Stockport County and showing why they've become the club they are today, just as a backup to my YouTube series. But before we go on to the next topic, I'll just quickly mention our recommended YouTube channel of the week is Fox in the Box FM. He does some great stuff on there, so it's definitely worth going in and checking him out. There's a link there to one of his latest episodes of the Unemployment Challenge. So yeah, give him a like, give him a view, and just support our FM friends, basically. So yeah, just quickly jump on here. Steve said hello. It's good to see you listening, Steve. Just remember, guys, the question and answers are open. You'll see your name in the top right corner. Next to that, there's some boxes. Just click on that, and you'll find the link to Q&A somewhere in there.
Give Paul a clap. Good God.
Yep.
That's me to do that.
I found out last week when I was a guest watching someone live stream. Right, what's the next topic we're going to talk about now? I've finished plugging our website.
We have mental stats of players, I'm assuming, there.
Yeah, mental stats of players. And this is again another thing which was brought up on Twitter. So thanks again for people who listen after finding us via Twitter. Someone asked us how important do we personally, and I assume they mean our listeners, find mental stats. I'm going to go to you first, Ben, the man of wisdom.
Well, all the attributes are important. Let's not say none of them are, but or a particular section. But there are certain mental attributes which I'll always look out for, because there's a certain kind of football that I like to see as a manager, and that's I always look for players who have high stats for aggression and bravery and teamwork and work rate, positioning. Actually, quite a lot of these mental stats, but those are the main ones, because I want to play a high pressing, aggressive style of football. So I always look for those for every player, whether it's coming through in the youth ranks or at any level. Like I kind of end up with going for the same player in some ways, but I'm not so good at finding the diamond in the rough kind of Cristiano Ronaldo type when they kind of appear. Because I hate players who have low teamwork, but I don't know about you guys, but those are the ones I always seem to focus on.
Well, I think personally, I mean, as everyone knows, I always play low down, so I think if I find a Cristiano in the rough, I think everybody in the world of Football Manager will know about it, because I would never shut up about it. I get excited when a player has 5 for passing. That's how poor some players I end up signing. But no, I think I have a couple of set rules when it comes to searching for players, and mental stats are quite key in this. We discussed off air earlier today, Ben, and you mentioned about composure when it comes to striking attributes.
Yeah.
That now, the first 2 stats I always put in for strikers are finishing and composure. Because as far as I'm concerned, if my striker's running through on goal and you're down in level 6, for example, in England, the difference between beating that average goalkeeper and completely messing it up, I think, is composure. Because if you can compose yourself, the goalkeeper's not of that high of a standard. So all my strikers have good composure. If they don't have a good composure stat, they won't be signed. And if they already at the club, they'll be sold.
Composure determines how well a player will perform when he's under pressure. But I'd also bring in decisions, because that's the quality of the decisions that they'll make. So if a player has good stats, or striker rather, for finishing, composure and decisions, then you've got a goal machine.
Yeah. There's a key mental stat in there. I think it's right in the middle. I'm not going to count. I'm not that sad. Determination. Now, I read a really interesting piece a couple of years ago, and I tried today, lads, to find it for us, but I just couldn't find it. It was when I was a member of a forum, NeoSeeker. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. If you have, let us know in the comments below. I lived on that from 2005 till 2009, I think. I was a regular poster on it. And there was a lad called Phoenix who had his own WordPress website. And he did a piece on determination in previous football managers and how it affects players and if it affects players. And what he did was he signed 5 players for the club who had 5 or less in determination, and he signed 5 who had 15 or more determination, and did a 5-season review on like how they developed. And it came across that determination was one of the most key attributes you'll find in Football Manager. So determination is so important in my opinion. You need players who have good determination. I think definitely in my opinion, again as a striker, but also in any role basically. I mean, you can almost forgive it as a winger. But I think through the spine of your team, Ryan, you need determination.
Oh, most definitely, and I think you need it as wingers as well. I mean, it's obviously dependent on the style of football that you play. If you play a style of football where you want a lot of crosses coming in, if a player isn't determined, you're going to end up like someone like Ashley Young who can't cross for monkeys, as we've seen in the Stoke game this weekend. Determination's always going to be a massive stat there.
So exactly. I'm just reading here. Sorry, I just some people spoke on the side. I'm just going to quickly go through them. Steve said, "Sorry, it's not on topic tonight, but I posted about how watching games really is a key. I'm guessing you guys see so many people saying how their tactics aren't working. I'm sure you agree. Watching games, see what needs to be tweaked. Yeah, I mean, I normally watch the games on comprehensive or extended, and then I have the goals on replay. And I watch on 2D general and the goals in 3D. The reason obviously is you can see why you conceded the goal a little bit better in 3D, but in 2D you can obviously keep a check on your shape, etc. James has said the evening lads, he's going to check out the new YouTube guy because Gaffer FM was excellent. Gaffer FM was fantastic, a great guy to have on our channel of the week. He was really appreciative as well, which was great. Kieran Kirk's been... Sorry, go... Yeah, sure.
Just to talk about the previous one about watching games, that is, I couldn't recommend that any more if you want to understand where you're going wrong with your tactics or where you're going right with your tactics as well, because if you're only watching on key, you're only going to get goals and the absolute bare minimum, and you will not be able to read the game. I don't understand why people don't do it on the higher levels than that. I mean, I get it in the sense of the game goes faster, but when people complain about tactics, it's usually because they can't spot the patterns. They're so easy to spot if you just watch it on comprehensive or even full. I hardly ever watch full except for cup finals and stuff, but comprehensive mostly.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't normally watch it on full, and this is going to sound pathetic, but it's normally because I just don't have the time to sit and watch a whole game on full. That sounds so bad, but I feel I feel I can determine the. I feel like I can see the extent of my issues if I have any issues at the time from just looking back on the stats normally, but I do like to obviously watch how it's developing.
Yeah, it's better to do that in the early games of the season when you're still trying to figure out your tactic. But if you're 4-0 up in a game, then bloody hell, go to key highlights. Who cares? Because you've already won that game. But generally, if it's a tight game or if it's like you're 1-0 up and there's 10 minutes to go, what on earth would you put it on key for? Because the other team is bound to change something.
Yeah, exactly. Just going to jump down here. Phaser HD, thanks for listening, pal. He's just said there, which player is better, Jake Fuller or Brandon Beckett? Does Jake Fuller play for, is it Ashton United? I'm not going to lie, pal. I'm not even too sure both of them. I'd have to check them. So I'm not going to be able to tell you which one's better. I think I know who Jake Fuller is, but I'm not sure. Brandon Beckett, he sounds like somebody who played. I'm not even going to guess. I can guess, but I might be wrong.
Sounds like a movie character.
I can only remember so much.
Get him to post some screenshots, and we'll have a look.
Yeah, link us the screenshots. Upload it to tinypic.com, and then you can post the link on the side. And we'll open it up and have a look. Kieran Kirk, who is the most underrated player on Football Manager who hasn't been mentioned a lot? Do you know how big the game of Football Manager is, Kieran?
There's a player I like though. Lucas Silva plays with Cruzeiro. He's I think he's on Real Madrid's radar now, so he's about to become well known. But I absolutely love that guy. If I could sign any player on Football Manager for any team, it would be Lucas Silva,
There you go.
midfielder.
One player for me who was brilliant on FM14, I think his stats have slightly dropped on 15, is Nisor Stanku. Plays for Star Bucharest. You can get him for £4 million. Becomes amazing.
I think underrated, I would say Landu from Viking.
Yeah.
It'll cost you about 150k in Championship or below, or any outside the top 4 leagues, and he's probably good enough for a defensive midfielder for any team. Or right back or centre back, and he's 150k at most. So I'd probably say him, because he doesn't get enough of a mention because of the likes of Stefan Strandberg, etc. They seem to forget about Landu with Viking, but he's a fantastic player.
There's some excellent technical players in Scandinavia. It's brilliant.
I know. It's I don't know where they all come from. I mean, obviously, I watched the Under-21 Championships in 2013 when Norway got to the final, and they have some fantastic young talent. So I can see why the stats are there. But I do at points slightly think Football Manager's overrated quite a lot of Scandinavian players. But I'm not sure. Have they overrated them, or are these players just decent who just haven't been given a chance?
I think because Football Manager doesn't simulate, let's say, off the pitch. Everything in Football Manager, for young players, is all about potential. So I think all of these guys have the potential that they're listed with, because that's what these scouts are seeing. But whether they actually make it or not in real life is dependent on so much more than just what happens on the football pitch. So I think Football Manager can never replicate that. So which is why you'll always get so many more hits than misses when you're actually playing in the game.
Yeah, that's true. Just looking down here, let's go through some more. Some nice comments coming in tonight. James has obviously had a drink because he's agreeing with Steve. He said, spot on, Steve. You can't stand it when people don't watch games at all and they just watch the commentary, then they have the cheek to complain. I helped somebody yesterday, James, on Twitter. I hope he's listening, actually, because it's going to be critical but advice. He lost his job, manager one of the clubs, yesterday. I can't remember who it is. I do apologise. But then he asked for suggestions on a new team, and then this morning I replied because I'd gone to bed, and he replied saying, I've been sacked again. He chose Plymouth. He'd been sacked again after 18 games. I have no idea how you managed to play so many games. Literally, I have no idea. I've been off work all week ill. I've literally crawled out of bed to come and do this stream. And I haven't even finished the season with Stockport. And I've had all week to do it. So I have no idea how it gets done so quick. James has said Andre Carrillo from Sporting Lisbon. Ben, he's underrated, top-notch player.
Cool, I'll look up for him.
Someone to check out. Right, Ryan, Callum Ball, is that the ex-Coventry?
He was on loan. He's horrific in real life.
Oh. Is he the one who was at Derby County?
Yeah.
Is he at St Mirren now, or is that somebody else?
I think so.
Okay.
He's horrific in real life.
See that, Ben? That's called knowledge.
Well done, knowledgeable teammates.
Callum Ball has been an amazing striker for Kieran on FM14 and 15. It cost him 190k this year, and he scored 33 goals for him. I've actually just sacked my best striker for Stockport. There's a little spoiler for part 6, which will come on Monday. He had the cheek to say that he wasn't getting enough football after resting few games. Yeah, he only had a month left of his contract, so I'm right near the end of the season, so I just said, go on, get out. He made the whole team unhappy. Ben, have you noticed this? On this year's Football Manager, one player complained to me about lack of football. There was 9 players wanted a team meeting about this situation. I then sacked him, and the next day they all said, oh, we're happy now, the situation's been resolved.
Wow. Yeah, that happened to me as well. When we go on to talk about our current saves, I'll go into a bit more detail. But basically, I've had the worst run I've had in a long, long time. It made me question everything about my tactical beliefs and all that sort of stuff. And then I realised it was all down to this one player and the upset that he'd caused. And I've had to change accordingly, but we'll touch on that later.
Yeah. Just saying here, Steve said Lucas Silva's been watched by Madrid, but apparently Arsenal have been in. Steve's just getting Arsenal mode.
I don't blame him because he is fantastic. So every club in the world should be looking at him.
Well, there you go. He's not going to go to Arsenal then. Do you want to just what we'll do is we'll quickly look at this whilst it's still on the screen. We'll just finish off our chat about the mental stats. To what position, Ben, would you associate the likes of... see, I'm actually going to ask this question as if I don't know the answer, because sometimes I do question myself when I'm looking at this. So we select finishing, we select composure, we select determination. Then, do we select off the ball, or do we select positioning as the more important one for a striker?
I guess it depends what kind of striker you're looking for, because in my current tactical setup, I've got a false 9, so off the ball is what I want from him.
Yeah.
He's going to be dragging defenders away. He's going to be trying to create space for other players, doing that, and basically off when not in possession. That's the kind of attribute you want to look for, isn't it, for that kind of player? But I always thought of positioning as a slightly more defensive attribute, but it is something I look out for all my players, because I like to play fluid systems, and you need to have players who know exactly where they are on the pitch when you play fluid.
Yeah, I think
So that's something I always stick with.
I don't know about yourself, Ryan, but I've always looked at positioning as a centre-back tool. But I came across an interesting article on FM14, and once again I feel so bad, but I genuinely can't remember who it was wrote by. And he was talking about how key positioning is for a striker. And I just kind of went, oh, okay. I maybe have been overlooking that attribute.
Well, it's a key attribute, I think, for every position. For a striker, you're looking at if they're being passed to, are they in the right position to receive the ball? If they're not in the right position, then the players who are trying to set them up, which is, if you're playing an advanced playmaker, it's going to make them frustrated, and they're either going to hold on to the ball or pass it to someone else, and you're going to have to rebuild all over again.
It depends on the role, doesn't it? And what you have around them. You could definitely work around a player who doesn't have great positioning, but I guess it would be a bonus to have it.
Yeah, I think also what I'm gonna actually just put a topic across for next week's show, because I want to get a couple of screenshots on this, is to see if we can advise people on defending and attacking set piece setups, how we set up, for example, because second half of my season I've completely turned it around to the extent where I never concede from corners now. So I do think it's a way we can. Again, it's from looking at corners and thinking, why is that guy not stood there? Or why is he not moving? And basically, why is that guy on the back post talking to someone in the crowd?
My setups are really basic for set pieces, so I'd be really curious to see what you do.
Yeah, I think
Paul should know how I set up.
Cheat. I don't know. Go on. Do you want to just... In fact, don't say anything. We'll discuss this next week.
Considering Balanta scored 2 goals against you when we played against each other, you should work out my setup from there.
Oh, every time you took a corner, I was too busy focusing on trying to sort tactics out for the next attack. Just say James has jumped back on. Any tips to stop conceding so many goals in the English lower leagues? 3 up and just do 3-3. Feel like a back four of Titus Brambles. I like to use middle of the road teams for my saves. Trying out lower leagues. James, what I would suggest is, I think it's, what I'll do is I'll send you some screenshots, pal. The best way to do it, I wonder if we might drop next week back to tactics, but more of an in-depth, as in set pieces, as in how we position players on the pitch, etc. Tactics discussions go on so much. I mean, we filled 2 weeks in the past with our tactics talk, didn't we, lads? So
I have a new tactic to share anyway.
At the minute, James, I've switched to a 4-5-1 on my current save, and I've completely solided it up. I am conceding goals still. I think it's inevitable, which with the match engine, along with the stats of my players to an extent. I'm not going to sit and blame C. Obviously, we defended them last week saying there's reasons why the match engine does certain things like running over the ball is to do with your bravery, etc.
I'd
But
be oh, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. Sorry.
no, please go.
I'd be curious to know from James if what he's doing to try and counter the changes that his opposition will inevitably make when they're 3-0 down, because obviously they're chasing the game and they'll be coming at you much harder. So I'd be really interested to know what James does in those games to try and counter the changes that the opposition have made, because that can make or break you for sure.
Yes, I think anyone who's been watching my Stockport series, as soon as I get 1 or 2-0 up, straight away I do a team talk and tell them to concentrate. Then quite often I'll drop to counter attack. As a way of sitting back a bit more, because you know they're going to hit you and they're going to hit you hard. You need to expect 3-0 down. They're just going to go for it.
Exactly. You want the next goal to kill them off.
Yeah, so
And
basically,
then just do damage limitation.
you want to drop your defensive line deeper for starters. I know what they say is don't drop deep because you're inviting them onto you, but at the same time, you're 3-0 up. Your team is feeling confident. Let them come onto you and then just hit them on the counter-attack, in my opinion. I mean, some people will say, no, don't drop back. Why? If you push up and they playing Route 1 football, they're just going to get behind you all the time. They're going to switch to Route 1 at 3-0 down, and if you're not dropped deeper, every ball's going to go over the top, and you'll find you're just getting a hit every time.
I think I would tone down my duties, because I have a pretty attacking setup to start with. So if I'm 3-0 up, then I would certainly my central midfield would be the first place I'd change, because I'd want them back helping the defence more, because they're the ones who always dictate tempo in my teams.
Yeah.
So I'll always keep them a bit further back. I'm not sure if I'd drop the defensive line as much as that, because I don't want to invite the pressure, as you were saying. But I can see why you would do that. But I'd prefer them to have the possession kind of in their own half, dicking around and trying to find the space that isn't there.
Yeah. I think what I find is, especially low league, obviously I'm playing in it at the minute as well, and what I find is they have an obsession of playing the ball across the field, from the right fullback to the left winger.
Mm.
And obviously that's where the situation of if you're dropping deeper, you can soak up that pressure a bit better, because I find a lot of my goals happen because of the balls over the top. But if I drop deeper from the start, then you're just asking for trouble. So
Yeah,
I've got to kind of balance and hope we can cut out the ones for the first half whilst we're pushing for them goals. But what I like to do, James, which is obviously something you can maybe try, is for the first 10 minutes of a match and for the first 10 minutes of the second half, in low leagues, I like to put it on much higher tempo and basically hit them from the attack, from the kickoff. And I find I'm getting a lot of goals now doing that. And as soon as you've kind of put the pressure on them, and you find every single highlight is used on the ball, then just drop it back to normal tempo. Don't tire your team out playing it for 30 minutes of the half. Just 5 or 10 minutes of constant pressure on the opposition is going to put them in the defensive mindset, and you'll find the opposition actually makes tactical changes to defend against you doing that, which then means you can drop it to a lower tempo because they've already decided they're going to sit back. But I'd actually want to ask Ryan what current save he's doing. I'm not sure how long this chat will last because I know he's been extremely busy this week.
Yeah, I've started again, but well, not started again. I've started a new save just to keep me going this week when I'm on a break away from work. I'm back at Man United, and I've set so no transfers can take place until January, and then I'm just testing out. But this weekend I'll be back on my normal save where I am at a club called FC Colv here. I think that's how we say it. We may have to ask Andre. He's the Portuguese person, and I've just got them promoted. I have my first trophy in the bag. I don't know if Paul is able to show the post. You'll be able to see the trophy that I won back in the league where the club are at that I've just been sacked from. Benfica B sacked me. I went down to the lower division and the team I took over are back in that division.
Let's have
So
a look. As you can see there, look at this for an index, lads. If you're looking for something to read for a couple of days, there we go. Is this the bit you want to pick out here?
yeah, it'll be around there. The image, it's the oh, that's my profile.
Well, there you go, lads. You know where he lives. Is this the screen?
Yeah, well, that's the competition where I
Oh,
didn't really understand how it worked.
it just did.
It just worked.
There we go.
There we go. The Campeonato Nacional, which I think that's how we say it, and it's been very interesting. Pre-season I'm in at the moment when I get back onto the save, and I'm looking for a tactic that will keep me in the division that I'm now being promoted to.
Fantastic. It's good that you got yourself promoted, got yourself a trophy as well.
And if you
Jason,
look
sorry, go on.
if you look at my profile in game, which I think we can talk about on the next show about how profiles improve, because Nick seemed to bring it up on the group.
Which bit? This bit?
Did I post it? Oh, I didn't put the picture on of my stats.
Well, that helps.
You'll see that I've got the National B license,
Oh, you've
which
been sacked.
has improved my stats quite slightly. But I'll put my attribute profile on there. We can show that next week and how stats improve as you go on, because Nicholas seems to think it doesn't work.
Fantastic. What about yourself, Ben? How's your save going? Are you still in Romania?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm only halfway through season 1.
It all takes time. He's too
Yeah,
busy
yeah.
doing this tactic post for everybody.
Oh my god, that's been a difficult process. I'll definitely have it out soon, though. I promise. But yeah, it's I've been having a difficult run, as we were saying earlier. It kind of all started when my captain came to me asking for, I can't even remember what it was now, but it was something stupid like, "Oh, I played well, give me a pay rise." You know, the sort of things you get. So I said no. Oh no, it wasn't even that. It was because he got sent off in an absolutely crucial game, and I gave him just a 1-week fine. And he said it was unfair, and he told all his teammates. And anyway, it caused a lot of trouble for me. Apparently, I didn't handle it very well, or so he said. But
So he said.
yeah, so he said. But all of his teammates then approached me, as you were saying, happens to you as well. I think I kind of won them over, but nobody was happy afterwards. And so from going on a run where I was doing really well in the league, kind of tying for first place with Steyr, but just getting tanked in the Europa League, which I'm now out of. I went on a 2 or 3 game losing streak against absolutely cack teams. I couldn't believe it. And then I lost my crucial game against Steyr, like the title, not decider, but kind of early get your favourites in sort of thing. Lost 3-0 to them at home. And I was, so it wasn't going well at all. And I thought, okay, I've got to change this here. And I realised something that I hadn't thought about before. Because I am playing a fluid system, which relies on the whole team pulling together rather than having certain jobs for certain players, you can't really get away with it if a good number of your players aren't performing. So I remember reading in Alex Ferguson's biography, he spoke about how it didn't really matter if a couple of players had a poor game each week. It was just as long as 8 or 9 of them showed up. And that was the kind of philosophy I try and follow, but it didn't work in this one. Like, my captain was playing so badly, it was pulling everybody down. I was losing games stupidly. My strikers forgot how to score because they weren't getting any decent service from the back, and it was just chaos. So I decided I'll drop this guy, I'll get him out of the picture. I tweaked my formation a bit, so I didn't have my usual kind of 4-5-1 system that I have. I changed it to a 4-1-3-2 because I wanted to have a bit more kind of protection in the middle to stop leaking goals. Because that was like, okay, I'm losing games 3-0 on the trot here twice, 2-3 times in a row. I thought, I've got to stop this. So that was my first port of call. It's picked up a bit since then. So I've gone into the what's it called, the winter break, which is 2 months long, by the way, in Romania. Huge. Goes from the end of December all the way until right at the end of February, which I didn't
Yes,
realise was as long as that.
it's like that in Russia. I found that on my save.
Yeah, it's crazy,
It
but I've
seems so
managed to turn
long.
it around. I've started winning games again. I have crashed out of the Europa League, unfortunately.
Oh.
But at least I won't have that to concentrate on now, and I can just get back onto the league where I really need to be playing better. But I have managed to turn it around, and it's given me something to add as kind of a disclaimer in when I write up my tactics of your players have to be able to work with each other, and work rate has to be high, and teamwork.
Yeah.
But so it's picking up, but I'm still trying to figure out this team. There's some players who consistently let me down, some players who are really inconsistent, which is so frustrating. But yeah, I'm sure we all have that as managers. But I'm going in confident into the winter break, though. I just have to figure out how to organise friendlies.
Well, I mean, I think one thing we would say is obviously we're always happy to upload tactics when people ask for them, but everyone always has to remember tactics are designed for players. So
Absolutely.
obviously, if your players aren't correct, don't come crying to us. Just a couple of things on the side. James said there, players only accept fines if they get a straight red card. So always fine them and save money. If it's 2 yellows, they will complain to you. They complain at anything, James. What I find now is I only fine them if my assistant says it was a justified sending off.
I think he is right. He is right. That is the distinction between straight red and 2 yellow. But I was so pissed off because he absolutely cost me the game.
Yeah.
I was 1-0 up, and I think this was in the Europa League when it was in a must-win game because I'd lost maybe my first 3 games. 1-0 up, he gets sent off, and I lose 3-1. I was absolutely livid. I just couldn't rescue it after that. So I think it was kind of an anger fine, and then it's cost me down the line. So never play Football Manager in anger. There's a message for everybody there.
Always go and relax.
Yeah, exactly.
Just looking on here, Jay said that he never finds his players, he congratulates them. But then again, he plays aggressive.
Did they cost you a Europa League place, though?
Yeah, there's Jay dancing around his living room when he gets knocked out of Europe. Yay, my player got sent off. One thing I would say is people always please come on and comment. If you like or you dislike our show, please come on and comment. I know there's somebody selected a couple of times during the show that they don't like the show. That's fine. Not everybody is always going to like our content, what we decide to discuss every night. If you have any suggestions on how we can improve the show, just let us know. If you want something spoken about in future, let us know. It shows that you have listened for the whole show, so we can't have been that bad. Lewis Steele's just jumped on and said hi 2 minutes before we end. So
hi, Lewis.
Cheers for listening.
You can listen back on YouTube. So
yeah, you can listen back on YouTube. Like I say, my current save, I don't want to reveal too much about because it's obviously I'm streaming it on YouTube, my Stockport County series. So please go on and check that out. It's definitely worth a listen, in my opinion. I get very excited at certain points of it and get very angry at other points. But the season's going well. I've already recorded enough for the full weekend's worth of releases, and it's definitely going to be worth keeping an eye on. It's taken me a lot of time to do. So anybody who makes YouTube videos, they always say we really appreciate the like, and it is genuinely meant because the time it takes to make, the appreciation when people actually take time to watch it, it does, it means a lot. When people comment on Twitter saying they've watched it it means a lot that people actually watch the videos. So start watching them, Ryan.
I do.
Jay said there, aggression equals success. And Jay also said it won in the Champions League. Cheat. But yeah, next week we're going to look back into tactics some more. We're going to be looking at our corner setup, etc. I'm not too sure what else we're going to discuss next week, Ryan. Do you have any ideas just to let them know?
I think I suggested last week finance and how we can promote your post that you did on finance tips and how you can increase finances possibly in the lower leagues, which we were going to discuss today, the lower league management, so we can kind of build on that next week if we have the time.
Yeah,
we
fantastic.
should do some attribute stuff as well, clear up some misconceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely look into that. Lewis has come on there. He's asking who's the better player out of Sean Taylor and Daniel Potts. I assume Daniel Potts is our young England
West.
under 20 West Ham player. Yeah. We're not here to judge people. I'm sure. Are you sure you're not the same person, just under a different name, who was asking at the start?
Upload a picture and we can all decide.
Yeah, upload pictures. Telling us people's names. It's honestly, I don't know. Some people think we have unlimited knowledge on football. There's certain people we just can't remember the names of.
If Lewis would like to buy me a new laptop so I can run Football Manager while I'm streaming, then that would be awesome. But I can't do that at the moment.
There you go. Fantastic. There's a little plug. Anybody who's happy to finance Ben's new laptop and my own, thank you.
It's Christmas. Give a little.
Yeah, it's half tax in Norway, so I'm hoping to get one. But thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. We've run over time by 1 minute. There's a little special gift for everybody. Merry Christmas. But we'll see you next Thursday. Thanks for coming on, Ryan and Ben, as always.
Cheers.
Cheers.